multi-part series on some of the most common myths out there about the law of attraction, manifestation, law of assumption, and Neville Goddard's teachings. And I would say the second most common myth that I see is that you need to believe in your manifestation, that you need to have a firm conviction that your manifestation will happen. I can understand why some manifestation coaches love preaching this, and there is some element of truth in how actually believing in your manifestation will help you achieve it. However, to say that it's a necessity is simply not true. There's also a misinterpretation of some of Neville Goddard's teachings, mostly a misinterpretation of his quote that one must live in his wish fulfilled. And that really ties into Bashar's concept of the state of being more important than your 3D circumstances. So let me deep dive into why it's not necessary to actually believe in your manifestation with one of my own stories, something that I manifested myself, where I completely didn't believe it would happen, where I had 100% self-doubt. And I'll also give you some tips and tricks in terms of how you can still manifest without believing that you can manifest that particular goal, that person, that thing. Of course, some people are extremely confident, but I would say most people are confident in certain things and less confident in other things. For example, you might be super confident about your ability to perform at your job, but you might have negative or limiting beliefs about other areas of your life. For example, relationships, money, and abundance. And according to these manifestation coaches, you're pretty much doomed because you lack confidence in those areas. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is completely false. It is completely possible to manifest even when you aren't 100% confident. And not only that, you might even have 100% self-doubt. A few years ago, I had applied to an extremely competitive position at a company where the acceptance rate was less than 1%. Statistically, I basically had zero chance of making it. And on top of that, I also had very low self-confidence. I felt like I was underqualified compared to all the other candidates. And even the morning of the interview, I called HR and told them that I wasn't going to make it, that I was sick. And the reason for that is because I slept less than an hour the night before. So I was under the impression that I was not going to perform well at these extremely competitive interviews where there are multiple rounds, where there are group interviews, and I was just sure that it wasn't going to go well. But for whatever reason, I changed my mind last minute. In a sense, I had already given up because I figured I might as well show up since I booked my return flight back to my home country, expecting to return to my old career, back to my old life. You have to understand that this opportunity, this extremely competitive role, was going to be a life-changing one for me. I would make twice to 3 times more money than I had originally made. And not only that, it was in a new country. It would basically completely change my life. But I had already surrendered, and plan B was already in motion, so to speak. And as you can expect, I ended up getting the position. I ended up out-competing tens of thousands of people for that job. And up till even the point when I received the offer, I didn't think that I was even qualified enough. I knew I was a smart, competent person, but this was in a completely new field. So it was a miracle that I had managed to manifest this job, and it did change my life. But keep in mind, I had never made any affirmations that I was going to get this job. I never visualized. I pretty much was confident in the opposite of it happening, and yet I still manifested. So this is just to show you that you shouldn't let the myth that you need to believe in your manifestation to prevent you from getting the results that you want. I think the really cool aspect of all of this is the element of surrender. And going back to what Bashar says about following your highest passion at every point in time without any expectations. For me, I obviously was interested in this opportunity, and I knew that it was going to be a great one, but I wasn't putting any pressure on myself, and I even made a backup plan in case it wasn't going to end up happening, but it did. So I hope this gives you at least some reassurance that you don't need to be 100% confident. You can even manifest when you have the great amount of self-doubt that I had when I manifested my dream job. So hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for my next part in the series.